Hey.
Hey.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the What You Got Sis podcast. I'm PGC, your host, and with me is the one and only Cookie J,
Woo-woo.
my beautiful co-host.
Glad to be here.
It seems like it's been a long minute since we last posted an episode.
It has.
Just so our listeners know, we took a CELA break in March as there were some significant life events happening for one of us, and I'm not talking about me.
What you talking about?
As my grandmother would say, somebody has fooled around and retired.
Yes. Praise God.
After how many years?
38 years.
Almost 40-year career in public service.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That deserves a clap.
Amen. Whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Thanks, B.
Yeah. So we thought March would be a good time for a CELA break. That's where we have been, if you were wondering. But now we are back and ready to bring you another episode of What You Got Sis. This episode is simply entitled, Did You Know? Did you know? ... Question mark. Did you know? And I'll get us going.
All right.
All right now. Did you know that April is Sexual Violence Awareness Month?
Mm-hmm.
That sexual violence is any type of unwanted sexual contact. Did you know that sexual violence happens in every community and affects people of all genders and ages? And that according to the National Center on Violence Against Women in the Black community, that for every Black woman who reports rape, at least 15 Black women do not. That 1 in 4 Black girls will be sexually abused before the age of 18. That 1 in 5 Black women are survivors of rape.
Yeah.
That 35% of Black women experience some form of contact sexual violence during their lifetime.
Wow.
That 40 to 60% of Black women report being subjected to coercive sexual contact by the age of 18. And if that wasn't enough, according to the Institute for Women's Policy Research, more than 20% of Black women, of us, are raped during our lifetime. Yeah. And that's a higher share than among women overall.
Yeah.
Black women were 2.5 times more likely to be murdered by men than our white counterparts. Black women also experience significantly higher rates of psychological abuse, including humiliation, insults, name-calling, and coercive control than do women overall. Now, these are alarming statistics.
They are.
To say the least.
Yeah, I think what's even more startling, and I didn't hear it in your stats there, but in most cases, those assaults happen by people they know.
Exactly.
And that's what's startling.
Yes. Oh, that we had more community involvement around prevention and accountability, including our religious communities.
Yeah.
And needless to say, if we had that, we could create a new and different narrative as it relates to the prevalence or pervasiveness of sexual violence. It's just, we're just not doing enough. There's not enough conversation. There's not enough community building.
Yeah, and we often hear that a lot of times it's not even about the sex, the act of sex. It's a power issue and
dynamic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so not that it isn't driven by sex in itself or some sort of immorality, but that it's certainly it's a control factor. Someone needing to feel empowered by lessening someone else, reducing them to an object, a sexual object.
Yeah. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center created several posters for the 2024 Awareness Month. And they can be found on the webpage at nsrvc.org. nsvrc.org. But I would just like to close out this segment by reading a few of them.
Okay.
The first one just simply says, embrace your voice. Mm-hmm. The next one says, our voices have power. Together, we can build safe and respectful communities. And I think that's powerful. Another one said, together, we can build connected communities. Mm-hmm. And the last one simply says, every person has a role in preventing sexual violence.
Yes.
What role will you play? And I thought that was powerful.
Yeah, I think the key word there is the connectivity, because a lot of, cases, and I'll say females because most often it is a female, not that men cannot be sexually assaulted, but a lot of times it's not reported because the individual takes some blame, or they feel they're not going to be believed, or that they put themselves in that situation, or somehow they're just reluctant to share it with others or report it. But if and when someone does, take them seriously and support them, and, be there to help hopefully break this curve of not, people not sharing and reporting these issues.
Yes. And I think that oftentimes when people think of Black women, they think of strong Black women. Mm. So sometimes that causes us not to want to report it because we want to be seen as these strong Black women. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, if we go way, way back, it's customary that it was the Black slave women who were being, raped.
Yes.
And, it's almost a stigma, really, just to, particularly if you're a woman of color, to, that being part of your history. So a lot goes with that.
Yep. To close this out, I wanted to send a reminder or encourage the men in my family and in my sphere of influence. I urge you to get involved by making the choice to do something. Speak out about sexual violence, support survivors, and seek out opportunities to work on efforts that prevent sexual violence, while also holding each other accountable. If a bystander, if you see something, say something.
Absolutely. And, if someone shares something with you, be supportive. Let's not question, well, what were you wearing? And why were you there? And
no blaming.
I told you not to mess with that person. Let's embrace individuals and be supportive.
Yes, no shaming or blaming.
Absolutely.
If you or someone you know is a survivor of sexual violence, for help and resources, contact the National Sexual Violence Hotline at 800-656-4673. You can also receive confidential 24/7 support at www.rain.org. Again, that's www.rainn.org.
All right.
Oh, well. That was a tough but very important topic. I thought it was fitting since this is Sexual Violence Awareness Month. Now, as a bonus, we have another segment on Did You Know? Mm-hmm. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here. Did you know that April is also designated as Autism Awareness Month? We are excited to have a special guest to share with us some information on autism.
Yes.
She is none other than the one, the only, Lakia Hollis.
Yes.
Also known as...
Hey.
Yeah, she's also known as Lady Lakia.
Okay.
But I refer to her as my niece because I've adopted her and her family. She and her family have been adopted into my family, so she's my niece.
Yay.
And as I've come to know her, I can say that she is loving, kind, caring, intelligent, a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a sister. And she walks in her authentic, beautiful self.
Yes, she does.
But she also has expertise on this topic. So, with that, niece, Lakia, sister friend, you have the mic.
Hey y'all. Yep. It's me, Lady Lakia. Listen, I am so grateful that I've been this granted this opportunity because this is truly an opportunity to be able to sit with these two wonderful ladies, my auntie and Cookie J. Everybody got to hang out with them. And so, listen, I'm just ecstatic at this, and I thank you, ladies, for having me on today. This is going to be a great, I'm sure, like this podcast has just touched so many already. I love it. And so I'm sure that it's going to continue to touch people. And so the did you know, when we talk about autism, it's so broad. There are so many different parts of autism. And I think that with it being Autism Awareness Month, it's a great thing that you guys are having this topic today because so many people don't understand autism is so broad. One of the bigger challenges, well, let me back up a little bit. I think in order to understand autism, you need to kind of really understand what it is and what happens. And so autism is a developmental disorder that impairs the ability to communicate and interact. And so, really truthfully, you're supposed to start looking at a child around 6 to 8 months about for autism. And a lot of people don't know that you're supposed to start watching them this early in life
Wow.
because we think autism doesn't really come until they're older, like 2 or 3. But that's not true. At around 6 months, your baby should start babbling and should be pointing or, at least like grabbing for certain things. And a lot of children with autism don't do that. And so it is because their brain is not developing the way that a normal brain would. With that being said, even in those times, for moms who are earlier, listening, don't get anxious if your baby isn't babbling as much as somebody else's baby because there are some children who are slower. Listen,
Right.
my mom says I didn't talk until I was 2, almost 3.
And
And
now look at you.
so that's all I do now. By these standards today, I could be at that point in time could have been considered autistic because I wasn't really, trying to talk. Like I had no thought of let me talk about something. And so in that place, it is it's it's for us parents. I'm a parent of 4 children. And so it is for us to really engage in our children. I think the other part is the engagement. When we talk about autism and parents and children, the engagement really matters. Sometimes we're in such a social media or such a digital age where we just want to put our kids in front of the TV, but that's not real interaction.
Yeah.
We have all these YouTube shows. Listen, don't get it twisted. Gracie is the best. Listen, Miss Rachel, they coming through.
All right.
I'm like, okay, cool. Y'all, they giving the toddlers all the
Yes.
goodness. I love it, right? But when we think about it, children, just like any other human, they need that interaction. They need that person to person interaction. And that is where our brain starts to really develop. And so for the babies, they still need that interaction. Um, a lot of times when we think about children, um, I'm going to say old wives' tale. Ladies, don't get upset with me. But, when I brought my babies home from the hospital, my mom said, now you need to call their name to make sure their spirit comes with them.
Oh.
Now, I was like, that's some crazy old wives' tale. Like, mom, it's not a thing. But truth is, it's the thing that it's giving that baby that developmental piece that when you're talking to them, they're learning their name.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, don't babble, don't baby talk to your baby. Talk to your baby. Talk to your child like you would talk to maybe not like an adult, but talk to your child, talk to your baby. Because you're using that development. That's the difference nowadays. We've
Yeah,
come to
that's
this
good.
place where baby talk is, it's what we want to do. Then we wonder why they're not talking back. Well, they don't know what to say.
Mm.
And so we have to really, I think it goes back to kind of being practical in life. We have to do these practical things. I don't believe my grandmother spoke baby talk to any of her children, and none of her children are autistic.
Mm.
And so, it's those things where it's back to the basics. Let's go back to the basics. We do talk about the red dye, or the different dyes that are in foods now that really make autism even more prevalent in children nowadays.
Oh, really?
We got to go back to the basics. We got to start feeding our kids fruits and vegetables that come from the garden.
Yes.
Getting out there and listen. If anybody out here is listening, I want to be a gardener one day. It's probably not going to happen any day soon. Maybe like when I retire, I'll be a gardener.
Okay.
But if somebody want to help me, I'm all for it.
We'll slide you a bag of some vegetables.
Hey, listen, or if you just want to slide me a bag, I'm good with that part too. But it's really getting back to those basics. These things do play a part in our children's development, and we really, especially in our culture, in the Black world, we have got to be better, because we want to pick up the thing that's quick and easy.
Yeah.
We want to pick up the snacks the sugary snacks that's going to make my baby be quiet for a minute. If it's going to give me peace, cool, but we don't understand. The Bible says, do you count up the cost? And so we don't count up the cost. We don't understand the long-term effects. And so autism really is a very broad place. I mean, I feel like I could talk about it all day, just because of my line of work. We see children who may be 4 or 5 with a pacifier, and we don't understand. Listen, I'm a sister girl. I heard my auntie say I'm a sister girl.
Yes.
And one of my first thoughts be like, why that child got a pacifier? They too big for that. They too big for that. But we don't really understand what they are going through. We don't know whether that's their comfort zone. In children with autism, one of the bigger things too is they don't make changes very well.
Sure.
It's very difficult for them to change. It's that transition period is hard. So even going from getting dressed to brushing their teeth, it's a transition, and we don't, as people from the outside, know what it takes for that parent on the inside to have to deal with that transition. So when we think about autism, we have to begin to open our minds to say, if it were me, I know what I would do. But because it's not me, let me be more prayerful for this parent and more judgmental. And we don't really think like that in this day and society. We want to judge everybody. You shouldn't be, or you shouldn't, or you should be, but you don't know that walk.
Right.
And so I say, hey, listen, when we begin to think about autism, especially during this month and during this time, begin to think, you know what, how can I pray for that person? Or let me even ask that parent. Parents of children with special needs need a nap. They want a nap. I'm a parent of a special needs child. I want to take a nap someday. So if somebody wants to say, hey, can I keep your child for 2 hours so you can take a nap? Let us begin to think how we can be the village. Thank you, God.
Yes.
We don't think about that anymore. What can we do to be the village? And again, I want to say thank you to these ladies on this platform, because they are a village. If y'all don't know, I know.
God bless you,
they a village, and I love my village. Thank you, ladies, for being my village. Listen, I'm gonna start throwing y'all some village work here soon.
We love you too.
Just know it's coming.
We're here for you, girl. We're here for it. So I thank you for that information. I'm learning, even at this stage in my life, after not having a lot of experience with individuals with autism. But I just have a question for maybe those who might be listening based on your own experience. Like, what would you say is a good sort of tip or advice for those who might have family members or children, particularly with autism, and how to like best to socialize them in an environment where there are, people who don't have autism. Like, what's kind of the best way to, as a courteous way to help to socialize them where they feel included, or to be sensitive to their needs?
So, first and foremost, we have to be patient. Being patient is like the key thing when it comes to autism, because some of it is some children have speech delays. Some children, they have challenges with the social skills. They may not want to be around a lot of people. So it might come to the point of, hey, can we spend some time getting comfortable with each other?
Okay.
Can you, me, and the child go to the park so that they can get to know me? Right?
That's
because
good.
even for us as adults, we don't always want to go into a new crowd of people.
Right.
So now
Amen.
think about my brain is developed normally, and I don't want to go into a crowd of people.
Yeah.
Why do I think this child whose brain has not developed normally wants to go into this new crowd of people?
That's so good.
And when we think about, their cognitive behavior, and then they may have issues with their touch and feel, sound, all of these different pieces that we want to just say, well, you should be fine. But that couch may rub that child the wrong way. Yeah. And because the couch has little, because it's more velvet, it might not be sensible for that child. Children with autism can have so many different issues or different situations to where they need to get to know you as the person, and that will help them to be more comfortable in a new area. So it's really about getting to know them, spending that time with just you, them, and the parent. And then, hey, if we can't do that, let's start easy. Can we FaceTime or can we Zoom so they'll get to know my face? They'll get to hear my voice. They'll understand that I am not a threat to them, because that's really what it is. Their senses see that this is a threat. And so I don't want them to think I'm a threat. How do I help them know I'm not a threat?
Right.
We have so much digital, technical things that we can do, that let's spend that time getting to know that child. Having the parent write down a list. Anybody who knows me, my child is not autistic, but even though she has Down syndrome, if anybody babysits for me, listen, you got a whole list of this is what she does, this is what she likes, this is, and because she's in a place now where she can tell you, I don't eat fish, I don't like fish, I'm not going to eat a steak. She's very vocal about who she is and what she likes. That's good, but everybody's child isn't at that place. So for that parent, asking that parent, hey, can you make a list just in case something happens and I have to step in? What are the things that this child likes? What's his favorite, or what's his night routine? Or, children with autism, most of them love YouTube. Most kids nowadays love YouTube, right? Yeah. And so recording their daily rituals, what's their morning routine? Having that parent record that morning routine so that if somebody had to step in, I could say, oh, that's okay. We know your morning routine, and we're going to follow it. Even though mommy or daddy is not here right now, we're still going to follow this routine because I know this is where you're comfortable. So it's really about getting to know that child.
That's great.
Thank you so much, niece. That was some really good information.
Yes, it was.
We appreciate you sharing that with us. And let me just tell you, you are invited to share this platform with us at any time, okay?
Absolutely.
Oh, y'all gonna let me come back?
I insist.
Okay,
yes. Right. Consider this an open invitation.
Okay, I'm gonna be back on the next episode, y'all.
Yes.
Good nickname.
Yes.
All right. So with that, I think that's our time. Cookie, you have any closing remarks you want to throw out?
No, I just want to thank my baby sis and just thank God for this opportunity to share, with other people, and hopefully there are some little nuggets in there that will be, helpful to anyone who's struggling, either with the challenges of individuals in their lives with autism, or in our earlier conversation about sexual assault awareness and heighten their awareness and thoughts and around those issues.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it directly from my niece, Lady Lakia.
Woo woo!
Thank you again.
Thank you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And with that, we are out.
We're out.